Hi guys. All right, we're going to head into chapter 8. And I hope you're stopping and you're thinking about Catherine and what it must be like for Catherine as she's like trying to negotiate or navigate this relationship with a new friend. And also imagine from Jason's point of view, a boy who is in a wheelchair, how he probably has never had a friend who's a girl, who's something different, other than his mother. I would imagine that his life is pretty isolated, except for the stupid speech woman and his mom and his family. So, it's uncharted territory. That means that neither of them has really done it before, and so there's a lot of emotions that go into that. But then remember, Catherine has a lot of emotions, right? She's worried about her new neighbor. She's being her good friend. She's always worried about what David is doing. She's always wondering, wishing that she had more from her mother. So lots of emotions, just like you have. And that's what the author wants you to see. So this chapter, Rules, starts with, if you can only choose one, pick carefully. On Wednesday morning, the minivan is gone from the driveway next door, so I busy myself collecting words and phrases for Jason on the blank spaces of my sketchbook. Words from commercials, conversations, and books run between my doodles and across the backs of my drawings. The driveway remains empty until after dark. An hour before PT on Thursday, I lay my sketchbook open on my desk and flip the pages, hunting for the right words and phrases to put on Jason's cards. Why not? He already has why, but why not is pushier, like why, with a fist on its hip. Out my window, I see the minivan still parked next door. Why not? Because Mom's calling clients and Dad's at work, so David's my responsibility. That's why. Just for an hour, Mom said, until we have to leave for OT. And I've put Thomas the Tank Engine on video, so he shouldn't be any trouble. I pull forward 2 blank cards and scrawl, yeah, right, whatever. I know she needs me to babysit sometimes, but I hate when she tells me he shouldn't be any trouble. Trouble comes quick with David, and should doesn't have anything to do with it. He should remember to flush the toilet too, but that doesn't mean it happens. When Mom had gone, I took my long mirror off my door and propped it at an angle against one corner of the living room so I could work at my desk and still see David reflected in the mirror. Every few words I make, I glance out my bedroom doorway to the mirror. David stands at the TV, the remote in his hand. He loves rewinding the trains backward up the tracks and speeding them ahead to almost crashing over and over. I turn another sketchbook page and choose among the words written along the edge. Sure, you bet. Excellent, perfect, frustrating, pretty, dazzling, to jazz up and stretch the words Jason has in bigger directions, and joke, so he can be sarcastic if he wants. I peek toward the mirror. The TV train steams ahead, billowing smoke toward the shed. Watch out, David repeats, a perfect imitation of the narrator's voice. But at the last second possible before the smash, David hits pause. Jumping in front of the frozen TV picture, he waves the remote in circles like it's a magic wand. Watch out! On the next page is my half-finished portrait of Jason. I pick up a pencil and add details I couldn't add in the waiting room. Eyelashes, thick eyebrows, and the outline of his thin lips. Part of me wishes I could tear this picture out of my sketchbook and crumple it into a tight ball so I don't hear his mother's scolding in my head when I see it. But the rest of me is bothered that it's incomplete, too much like secret. And again, they keep on changing the font of these words, and that font means that those are like the words that are in Jason's book. Are you busy? A girl's voice asks. I drop my pencil and flash a look from my unmade bed to the folded clothes piled on my bureau. Cinnamon and Nutmeg crane their necks to reek at Mom and the girl from next door standing in my doorway. I saw Christy coming up the walk, Mom says, smiling. Catherine, I have one more call to make. Could you keep an eye on David for a few more minutes? Then I'll take over, I promise. Before I can get out no, I see Mom's legs in the mirror hurrying back toward her office. David pushes rewind, and then Thomas speeds backward again. Come in! I offer my chair, but Christy sits on the edge of my desk, crossing her feet at the ankles. Are you busy? No. Seeing her up close, I know Christy will be popular. Not only for her straight brown hair, parted off center, shining down to her elbows, or because she looks just right, even wearing frayed jean shorts and a t-shirt. Christy radiates cool. And I know it as sure as I know David will stop that speeding train at the last second. Part of me feels sorry because she doesn't look like a flashlights and Morse code kid, but the other part of me is excited. I'm glad Mrs. Bowman sold you her house, I say. Well, I guess technically the realtor sold it, but I'm glad your family bought it because I always thought it would be great if a kid lived next door. Mrs. Bowman was nice, but she was really, really old. I clamp my teeth together to keep anything else dumb from escaping my mouth. Christy drags a strand of her hair between her fingers, probably like this. I'm glad too. I was scared I'd have to start school next year without knowing anyone. My lips spread into a smile, imagining Melissa's surprise as I introduce Christy into our group. This is my friend Christy, I'll say. We hung out together all summer. I glance out my doorway at the living room. Where's David? Ryan says there's a bus stop at the end of the street. I lick my bottom lip to keep from grimacing. At the corner. That's great. Christy continues to twist her strand of hair. I used to walk 3 blocks to catch the bus, even when it was freezing or raining. Mom say take an umbrella, as though anyone carries an umbrella. David insists on bringing his bright red umbrella to school even when it's only cloudy. My mom's like that too. Leaving out isn't the same as lying. Another rule. She always says, well, at least wear your hood, I continue, like I'd want hood hair. Christy smiles, letting the twisted strand fall back to her arm. Ryan said he lets kids wait in his house if it's raining, since he can see the bus coming from there. But only if you're invited. I peek out the doorway into the empty living room. Part of me would like to tell Christy the truth, but I don't want our conversation to become about David. At the bus stop, I always tell him, you have your umbrella, grabbing the back of his jacket to keep him from following Ryan's friends up the steps. Going inside is for kids without umbrellas. I would be honest, but David doesn't understand invited and not invited. He thinks everything is for everyone. Ryan's nice, Christy says. Don't you think so? Nice as a cockroach. Want some sherbet, I ask? When you want to get out of answering something, distract the questioner with another question. Another good rule. What kind? Christy asks. Raspberry. David rushes through my doorway, his eyes wide with panic, an audio cassette in his hand. Fix it? The tape has pulled out of the cassette, hanging in a long and delicate loop. At first I'm relieved that that's all that's wrong with until my guinea pigs start to squirrel. With the cassette over one ear and his hand shielding the other, David yells, Quiet, pigs! Christy shoots a worried glance from David to the guinea pigs to me. I pry the cassette from David's fingers, knowing it'll be faster to deal with the tape than the tears filling his eyes. Don't worry, this'll only take a minute. I spin the cassette around and around on my finger, wishing I had 2 more hands. One to give the guinea pigs hay to quiet them, another to cover David's mouth as he shrieks. I spin the cassette so fast my finger keeps slipping out of the tiny hole. When the tape lies flat and tight, I slide frog and toad together into my cassette player and push play. Arnold Lobel's deep voice joins the guinea pig's squeals, and David's face lights up like Christmas morning, Halloween night, and his birthday, all rolled into one. Big grin. You fixed it. Go find Mom, I say, pressing the cassette into his hand, and tell her I'm done babysitting. Before I close the door, I peek into the living room to be sure David's heading towards Mom's office. He disappears down the hallway, swinging his arms. That must be hard, Christy says. Even regular little brothers are a pain. Regular snarls at my stomach. I grab my sticky notes and write, "Dad, buy a new tape player," and stick it on the back of my door to remember to tell him again. To quiet my guinea pigs, I pull strings of Timothy hay from the little bale I keep under the cage. Nutmeg yips as Cinnamon steals her hay. "They're so cute," Christy says. "Can I hold them?" "Sure." I toss her a towel. "But better put that on your lap in case they pee." I slide one hand under Nutmeg's chest and cup her back legs with my other. Cinnamon weeps until I set her next to Nutmeg on Christy's lap, and the squealing turns into happy pig cooing. "Nutmeg, I thought I'd never see you again. Say, what are you eating?" "Towel, medium rare with a hint of fabric softener. Care for a bite?" "Don't mind if I do." My door bursts open. "No toys in the fish tank," David announces. "I'll be right back," I say to Christy between my clenched teeth. "I'll be right back." That's what clenched teeth means. "No problem," she says, stroking Nutmeg's neck. I close my door behind me so Christy won't see me run. Why? I sprint ahead of David. Why today? Because a tiny cowboy stands bow-legged on the gravel at the bottom of the fish tank, one hand poised to grab his pistol, the other holding the end of a lasso hovering in a loop above his head. A goldfish swims right through the hole. "Get back here, you pesky varmint!" Plunging my hand into the water, the fish swoosh past my fingers. I rescue the cowboy and throw him into the toy box. Grabbing David's wrist, I don't even wipe my hand first. "Wet!" David twists to get away. "You're not going to ruin this for me." I yank him along behind me, down the hallway to Mom's office. She's on the phone. "All right then," Mom says into the receiver. "I'll look forward to hearing from you next week." "I have company," I say, not caring about interrupting her, "and you need to watch David." Mom holds up her finger for me to wait, but I push David ahead of me into the room. Her eyebrows come down. She's mad. She grabs a puzzle off her bookshelf and dumps the pieces on the floor. "Yes, that'll be fine," she says into the phone. David sits beside the hill of pieces. He can't stand to see puzzles undone, but he insists on doing the pieces in lines, like he's reading the puzzle. He doesn't look for all the red barn pieces or the daisies in the field or the glimmers of sunlit water. Left to right, top to bottom, that's his puzzle rule. And if you add a piece out of David's order, he'll take it back out, even if it fits. I slam Mom's office door on my way out. When I come back to my room, breathless from running down the hallway, I notice Nutmeg and Cinnamon are in their cage again. "Everything okay?" Christy asks. "I hope you don't mind that I looked at this." She's holding my sketchbook, open to a half-finished portrait of Jason. "Is he your boyfriend?" "No, just a boy I started drawing." Christy tilts her head in an "ooh, really" look. If you want someone to think something's not important, just use "just" a lot. "He's just a boy I know from, well, I don't really know him, not very well. I just see him at..." I check my watch. It's almost time to leave for OT. I can't tell Christy I have to go, not the first time I met, but I told Jason I'd see him today. Christy tosses my sketchbook onto my desk. My hands itch to flip the page, but that'll bring attention to it. "Want to watch TV?" Christy asks. If I say no, maybe I won't get another chance to hang out with her. I glance to Thomas the Tank Engine reflected in my mirror, his eyes closed, braced for that crash that will never happen. From somewhere, David shrieks. "We could watch at my house," Christy says. That stings, even if I agree. "Sure," I say. "I'll tell my mom." All the way up Christy's walkway, I want to skip or run or twirl with my arms out like a 6-year-old. It feels deliciously easy to be visiting a friend's house without having to say first, "Sorry, David, this is for me. You can't come." Hearing Mom's car back out of the driveway, I turn to wave. She waves, but David sits alone in the back seat, hunched down, his hands over his ears. I follow Christy up the steps and through her front door. That's the end of chapter 8. But one of the things that I'm thinking about is at the end of chapter 7, didn't Catherine tell Jason that she was going to be seeing him next week. Can you imagine if you didn't have any friends, but the one friend that you saw when you were going to speech, like Jason, and he's anticipating seeing her, but then she's not there? Disappointing. See you guys for chapter 9.